In a dim San Francisco apartment, 1994, reporter Daniel Malloy sat across from a man named Louis de Pointe du Lac. The tape recorder whirred between them. Louis claimed to be a vampire, a creature of the night. Malloy was skeptical, but Louis's haunted eyes and ancient sadness drew him in. Louis began his confession, not of adventure, but of loss, love, and profound loneliness. He warned Malloy, being a vampire was a curse, not a fantasy. The details Louis shared, historical, intimate, were too vivid to be lies. Malloy leaned in, captivated as Louis described centuries of darkness, not as absence of light, but as a living presence. Louis's story was a plea for understanding, a burden he could no longer carry alone. The room faded away, only the past mattered. Malloy realized this was more than a story, it was a confession from a soul lost in endless night. The vampire's pain was real, etched in every word. This was no monster of legend but a reluctant predator, a poet trapped in a killer's body. Malloy was no longer just a reporter, he was a witness to a centuries-old sorrow. The city lights outside were distant, inside only Louis's truth remained. The dawn would bring no peace, only more darkness to confess. Louis's tale began in 1791 Louisiana, where he was a wealthy plantation owner, but grief consumed him. His wife and child had died, leaving him empty and broken. He wandered New Orleans at night, courting danger, hoping for death. His pain was a poison he drank willingly, pushing away all who tried to help. One night a presence found him, Lestat de Liancourt, elegant and powerful. Lestat saw in Louis not just a meal, but a companion, someone already lost to life. He offered Louis a choice, a meaningless death or a new, eternal existence. Lestat promised freedom from pain, power, and a world seen through new eyes. Desperate, Louis accepted, not for power, but to escape his grief. The decision was not about immortality, but about ending suffering. Lestat's offer was a strange salvation, and Louis took it. He let go of his mortal life, stepping into the unknown. The darkness that followed was not the end, but a new beginning. Louis's story was not of glory, but of a man running from pain. The night would change him forever. The true cost of that choice was yet to be revealed. Lestat brought Louis to the brink of death, then offered him vampiric blood, the dark gift. Louis's senses sharpened, his grief faded, replaced by a new agony, thirst and moral conflict. Lestat reveled in the hunt, killing without remorse, urging Louis to do the same. But Louis's conscience survived. He was horrified by taking human life. He fed on animals, refusing to become the monster Lestat wanted. Lestat mocked him, calling him weak, but Louis clung to his humanity. Their life became a battle of wills, Lestat tempting, Louis resisting. Louis's existence was misery, trapped in a life he never wanted, with a creator he could not respect. The darkness was not freedom, but a new prison. Louis's struggle was not just with Lestat, but with himself. He was a reluctant predator, haunted by every choice. The night offered no escape, only endless conflict. The cost of immortality was becoming clear. Lestat, fearing Louis would leave, sought to bind him forever. One night, in hunger and despair, Louis bit a dying girl, Claudia. Lestat seized the moment, turning Claudia into a vampire child. He presented her as their daughter, believing this would keep Louis by his side. Louis was horrified, but felt responsible for Claudia, growing to love her deeply. Claudia adapted quickly, loving Louis's gentleness and Lestat's lessons in predation. They became a twisted family, hiding in plain sight in New Orleans. For a time, Louis found purpose in caring for Claudia. She was his light in the endless night, even as she was a creature of darkness. Their fragile peace masked a terrible foundation. The innocence stolen from Claudia would soon turn to rage. The family's comfort was doomed to shatter. Decades passed. Claudia's mind matured, but her body remained a child's. She became a woman trapped in eternal youth, a cruel paradox. Her frustration grew into rage, resenting Lestat for stealing her future. She loved Louis, her true companion in suffering. Together, they shared a bond Lestat could never understand. Claudia dreamed of freedom, plotting Lestat's demise. She convinced Louis, only by destroying Lestat could they be free. Claudia's desire for revenge became an all-consuming fire. She planned with cold precision, using her innocence as a weapon. No one suspected the child of murder. The rebellion was set in motion. Claudia would not be a victim any longer. The act of violence would change everything. The family's dark unity was about to explode. Claudia's plan was brutal. She poisoned Lestat, then, with Louis's help, left him for dead in the swamps. Believing themselves free, Louis and Claudia fled New Orleans, dreaming of finding others like them. Lestat survived, scarred and vengeful, attacking them before they escaped. A fire destroyed their home. They barely survived, leaving Lestat to the flames. They sailed for Europe, searching for ancient vampires and answers. The journey was lonely. Partners in crime, fugitives bound by guilt and hope. In Eastern Europe, they found only mindless, feral vampires. No wisdom, no community. Disappointed and more alone than ever, they lost hope. Then whispers reached them, a coven of vampires in Paris. Their quest seemed fruitless, but Paris offered a final chance. The old world held new dangers and possibilities. Louis and Claudia's bond deepened in exile. The search for belonging would lead to tragedy. In Paris, Louis and Claudia discovered the Théâtre des Vampires, a coven performing for mortals, hiding horror as art. The audience believed it was theater. The vampires fed on victims as spectacle. The coven's leader Armand was ancient and wise, captivating Louis. Armand offered knowledge and connection to vampire origins. Louis was drawn to him, seeking answers and companionship. But the coven was decadent, nihilistic, and dangerous. Santiago, a suspicious vampire, distrusted Louis and Claudia. The law was clear. Killing another vampire meant death. Claudia's existence disturbed the coven. Her secret was unsafe. Louis was torn between Armand's allure and his loyalty to Claudia. The sanctuary they sought was a nest of deadly politics. Their past crimes would not stay hidden for long. The coven learned Louis and Claudia had killed Lestat, the ultimate vampire crime. Their punishment was swift. Claudia was locked in a sunlit shaft, Louis sealed in a coffin. Claudia perished in the sun. Louis emerged to find only her ashes. Grief and rage consumed him. His last reason for living was gone. Louis sought revenge, burning the Théâtre des Vampires and killing those responsible. He destroyed Santiago and the coven but found no peace. The loss of Claudia left him emptier than ever. Armand released him, but their bond was tainted by betrayal. Louis's vengeance brought only deeper sorrow. The world he sought had destroyed what he loved most. The cycle of pain continued. Louis was left with nothing but memory and regret. The night offered no comfort, only endless loss. Louis left Paris with Armand, but Claudia's ghost haunted him. He could not forgive Armand's inaction, and their companionship faded. Louis wandered the world alone, a silent observer of changing times. Immortality became a curse of endless loneliness. In the 1970s, he returned to New Orleans and found Lestat alive but broken. Lestat was a shadow of his former self, feeding on rats lost in the modern world. Louis felt pity, but no desire to reconnect. Their bond was shattered. He left Lestat behind, carrying the weight of memory and sorrow. The meaninglessness of their existence was clear. Louis' story was one of tragedy, not triumph. The burden of centuries led him to confess to Malloy. The cycle of pain was unbroken. As dawn neared, Louis finished his story. Malloy, now a believer, missed the warning. Obsessed with immortality, Malloy begged Louis to make him a vampire. Louis, furious and pitying, refused. He would not curse another soul. He vanished, leaving Malloy alone with the tapes, a record of suffering mistaken for an invitation. Malloy fled, still dreaming of the dark gift, unaware of the danger behind him. Lestat emerged from the shadows of Malloy's car, restored and predatory. He mocked Louis's sorrow and turned to Malloy with a seductive promise. "I'm going to give you the choice I never had," Lestat whispered. The story had come full circle. The night was waiting for Malloy's answer. The true nature of the dark gift was revealed, not freedom, but a curse. The choice was his, as it had been for Louis. The dawn would bring no peace, only another soul lost to the night. The cycle of darkness continued.